Surgeon-guided, technology-driven, robotic arm-assisted surgical technology for hip and knee replacements. Available at Kansas Spine and Specialty Hospital, proud sponsor of KPTS, Public Television for Kansas.
The following program is brought to you by TZ Productions, celebrating KPTS's nearly 50 years of community support in South Central Kansas. Great starts here on KPTS.
Support also comes from viewers like you. Thank you.
Get set for another edition of Hatteberg's People. Coming up.
I think the greatest thing people can give to you is say that they've offered a small prayer, and that's quite a gift.
She was the wife of a Wichita State basketball coach, reflecting on her husband's firing. That was a dark period in Shocker history and a dark period for Ann Cohen, but she was sure there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Was there? Also,
there's a purpose for every life, and a lot of these people have never found that purpose. They don't have the dreams like you and I do, Larry.
He was a man on a mission, putting his faith into action by helping the homeless. And his efforts helped strengthen a well-known Wichita ministry that thrives to this day. Also,
she was so injured that somebody had to do something.
Everybody misses her, and so she's going to go back up on the hill.
And Lady Liberty takes a beating in one small Kansas community, but this local couple was not about to let vandals have the final word. You'll learn what happened and find out how that story ended. Hi everybody, I'm Larry Hatteberg.
And I'm Susan Peters. We are glad you're here. Hatteberg's People starts right now.
These stories are like old friends. Their lives radiate from the screen like prophets of the past. They were teachers, but not in a classroom. Instead, they taught about life to those around them who cared to listen, and I was their student. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Now, we start with a story about the pressure of living in the public eye and what happens when difficulty strikes.
From 1989 to 1992, Mike Cohen was the head coach of the Wichita State men's basketball team. Well, those were not successful years.
They were not, and some say those were three of the worst seasons in Shocker history. Cohen was fired in 1992, and shortly after that, I interviewed his wife, Ann, about living in the fishbowl when everything goes south.
The game was being played on the basketball court, but for Shocker basketball coach Mike Cohen and his family, another game off the court was also being played.
People are the best part of life and also the worst part of life. They can be the best part in the sense of support, but they can also be the ones that hurt.
Ann Cohen is the wife of former Shocker basketball coach Mike Cohen. She teaches English literature at Southeast High, and she says her students helped her through the hard times.
Out of the blue, they'll stop by between classes and they'll say, Mrs. Cohen, are you going to be here next year? Or we were really sorry when all this was going on, and they do care.
In the classroom, Ann Cohen is the teacher, but as her husband moved through the hard times of coaching, she became the student, learning life's hard lessons.
I think the greatest thing people can give to you is say that they've offered a small prayer, and that's quite a gift. And so we feel very fortunate. We feel like people have really been very supportive of us, and if we felt like we were out there alone, it wouldn't have been easy to handle this, but we weren't. We had a lot of good friends and family, and they were right there with us too.
But as she taught and as she shared the difficult times, she found some people placed winning above friendship.
I think that's been one of the most disappointing things I've also seen, is that first of all, when I realized that people were basing our relationship on the fact that Mike was the head basketball coach of Wichita State. And then secondly, when they saw that things were not going to be as successful as they should be, they separated themselves from us. And so you really find out who your true friends are.
Now, as WSU searches for a new coach, Ann Cohen says her students are getting the wrong message, referring, of course, to the contract Jim Valvano was allegedly offered.
They pretty much told me that their perception of this is that everyone has a price, and then you can buy winning, you can buy success, you can buy anything you want in life, and that it looks like that everyone has a price or is willing to negotiate any deal to win. And that was very disheartening for me when I heard them say that they felt like you could do anything if you just had enough money, because there's so much more to life than money.
Like school, everything comes to an end. Ann and Mike Cohen aren't bitter. They say they're just ready to move on.
I don't even consider this a failure. I consider this just one of those little obstacles in the road. And I heard the other day, it was such a neat little saying, it says, the path without any obstacles leads nowhere. So I told Mike, I said, we must be going to quite a path because we've had a few obstacles.
Shortly after that interview, Ann and Mike Cohen relocated to Florida and later divorced. Now, he became a financial consultant and still is. What became of Ann? Well, we're not exactly sure.
She was an incredible woman through all that, right?
She was a tough woman there. Mm-hmm.
Well, life has its ups and downs for everybody, but the woman in this next story never lets anything slow her down.
Now, Jill Desmots of St. John is a one-woman dynamo. Take a look at all the things she was up to in 2010.
Got it? It feels good to be out there and breathe the fresh air and see all them pumpkins. And you two count out loud so you know how many you got in there, in her bin. I could be in that pumpkin patch all day long. Okay.
She could, but she won't. In the fall of the year, there is a spring in her step. Jill Desmots also is the mayor of St. John, Kansas, a small community in Stafford County.
A challenge at times, fun. Yes, it's fun. Hey, Jer, you got anything for sale today?
I got everything for sale. What are you doing?
I'm selling pumpkins. Do you want any pumpkins to sell?
No.
Sure you do. You'll have lots of people coming in here to buy pumpkins.
Where are you going? Just around the square to sell?
Well, wherever, whoever will buy, I'll sell.
Yeah?
Yep.
With a personality that sparkles, she does the mayor's job. At the same time, she farms 30 acres of pumpkins.
Everybody that does know me, they know that I was raised on a farm with 8 kids south of Maxville, and we worked. We did not have a choice. We was taught how to work and work hard, and you don't stand around watching someone else work.
With the pumpkins are 10 acres of watermelons and 10 of cantaloupe. Now the pumpkins right now, though, are the crop in demand.
The field is beautiful with those great big leaves and the great big vines, and the blossoms are just wonderful. It just looks like an orange ocean out there of pumpkins laying everywhere.
If the work in the field and that of the mayor weren't enough, she's also the girls' basketball coach and mother of 2. It seems a woman with no time to spare always has spare time for others.
The best part of my life is my kids.
With all that going on in Jill's life, she also sells and delivers her pumpkins to Walmart. She's one of the fortunate local growers whose products finds its way to the shelves of that gigantic retailer.
Life's very good. Life is great. Like I say, there's a pumpkin for everybody.
Now, Jill is no longer the mayor of St. John. Her family said no more. So you can imagine that, boy, that decision came about. So she didn't run again. Now, she also gave up on the coaching, but Jill's vegetable farm is still going gangbusters, and you can still buy her produce at Walmart.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, it was very cool.
That is so neat.
She was involved in everything.
Everything.
I got tired following her around.
I bet you did.
She's very active.
Well, I'm glad she settled down just a little bit.
She did.
All right, now to another Kansan dedicated to making his community a better place.
His name was Gene Price, and he had a heart for all people, but especially those who were down and out. He helped build the Union Rescue Mission into one of Wichita's most successful programs for the homeless.
After I came back from Vietnam, I figured the war was over, and I had to fight another war out here on the street.
All over the world, they are there, in the shadows of our minds.
Some of the fellows that we have at the rescue mission now, when they came in, they had long beards and dirty and the shovel hair. And you have to look beyond that to see there's some little seed in there that really has never been developed.
Gene Price has been a farmer of souls for the past 8 years. As director of the Union Rescue Mission, he deals with the kind of people the rest of us shun.
I realize there's a purpose for every life, and a lot of these people have never found that purpose. They don't have the dreams like you and I do, Larry. Tomorrow morning when you get up, you have a dream, you know what you're going to do. You're headed to work, I'm headed to work. These people have no dreams.
From the streets they come, perhaps to one of the nightly church services, a meal, or to stay the night in one of these bunk beds. The perception that these are bums and derelicts, though, is no longer accurate.
We had a hard globetrotter of the state here, got into drugs. He had no place else to go. We had a running back from the Denver Broncos, a young person, nice-looking kid, and he started on the drug scene and lost it all. Quarterbacks in the Dallas Cowboys that came in. We've had religious leaders. We've had some teachers, many people of walks of life that have been with us, and that's just that we know about.
Life on the streets in this country is a matter of lost hope. When the cars drive by and the drivers see the men on the streets, most turn their head away. That doesn't go unnoticed.
Many times they'll say, well, see, they turn their face, we're nobody. And we have to prove to them that they are somebody. Somebody once said, God didn't make any junk, and then he didn't.
In this small chapel, wood pews feel the touch of hands not held, of promises unfilled, and of friends lost.
We do offer love here, and love is a very strong trait, and you can win them over many times with the love that we show them here.
Upstairs, common sleeping quarters, where dreams go untold and sleep takes away the pain.
But if we can strive and rescue 10%, I feel like we've done well. That'd be 10% that would go down the drain through life with nothing.
Little successes. Gene Price lives for little successes.
And the hope and the help and the excitement and the challenge, the opportunities are what we exist on, have to be.
Tomorrow's another day. I'll have to see what happens when tomorrow shows up.
Now, thanks to Gene's leadership, the Union Rescue Mission was able to move into a former nursing home on North Hillside.
It provides emergency shelter and meals for homeless men, along with Bible studies and other opportunities to help them turn their lives around. His mission goes on even today.
That's right. He was a very kind man. We need more of his kind.
We sure do.
Yeah. Well, sometimes change is good, but other times we find ourselves longing for the good old days.
That was the predicament Maria Bumgardner found herself in. Loved ones passed away and her little town disappeared before her eyes. But still, she kept her little grocery store going as long as she could.
Now, I got up very early in the morning to shoot this story in 2011.
And I go to the house and help her out of the house and help her over here.
That's Bill Fillmore helping Mariah Bumgardner across Elmdale's Main Street.
I pour her a cup of coffee and we sat here and visit till 6:30, and then 6:30 I leave.
It's an arrangement that's worked well over the years.
See how many people I see by being over here.
Have a good day, hon.
Thank you. And Bummy's been gone almost 13 years.
Bummy was her husband Glenn's nickname. Together they began this little Elmdale store back in 1947.
I wish it was still like it was 60 years ago.
Since Bummy's death, Mariah has kept the store going. Some say Mariah is in her middle 90s. She says she's past 39, her age to remain a secret.
Just a small town, all gone but a few places.
Elmdale is a town of yesterday. The gold of the morning sun are the only riches left in the old bank building. This Flint Hills town has no morning rush hour. The post office flag warming itself in the sunrise, only disturbed by a wrinkle of wind. It's quiet here.
I'm not all that busy, but it gives me something to do.
With sparse shelves neatly stacked, Mariah sits close to the heater near the window.
Oh, it's you.
Folks stop in for constant coffee, but no one ever asks for change.
Well, maybe somebody drove up now. Morning.
Because of Mariah's failing eyesight, Georgia Haley, the postmaster of Elmdale, stops in to write checks for Mariah before she goes to work.
So I enjoy everybody that comes in.
Surrounded by pictures of the past, Mariah sits among the history in this little place, never moving far or fast. Bummy's old soda fountain goes unused. It's a place full of memories, a living museum, and Bummy's words decades ago echo true today.
I don't think either one of us could retire and be happy.
He was so right. He's gone, but Mariah continues.
I imagine it's going to be a quiet day.
We'll see you guys later.
A few years ago, Maria finally retired and closed the store. But as of this taping, she is still alive and living with family at the ripe old age of 101. Now, she's no longer in the Elmdale area, but it seems her name still rings a bell with just about everyone there in Chase County. Everybody would stop by that place. Everybody knew her, and she was an amazing lady.
God love her for keeping the grocery store open and being 101.
Mm-hmm. She loved that little town.
That's neat. Okay, another familiar lady that everybody knows is Lady Liberty. Well, the original work is in New York Harbor, of course, but a smaller version near Smith Center has been greeting passersby for decades.
Now, sadly, vandals severely damaged the statue a few years ago. Then, Edith and Jack McLean came to the rescue.
It was 1951 when a happy group of Smith County residents stood with the 8-foot-tall Statue of Liberty replica. Christian Cobflash, a Canadian who immigrated to the area, was inspired by his new country and purchased Lady Liberty. 300 of them were made by a Chicago company for the Boy Scouts. Cobflash donated his to the local scout group. Now, the statue is gone. Vandalism took its toll.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to look at it without her there.
She is somewhere, just not yet back to her original spot. The McLeans are keeping the newly restored Miss Liberty on their property until spring, when it will once again take its rightful place.
She was so injured that somebody had to do something.
Everybody misses her, and so she's going to go back up on the hill.
We just felt like we had to step forward and take care of her. She's just a beautiful lady.
That was Brad's daughter.
Since 1951, the statue has endured vandalism year after year. And each time, community members came forward to lovingly restore it. The McLean scrapbook details all the times folks have pitched in to repair Miss Liberty.
And that was the original plaque.
In the latest round of vandalism, which is what prompted the statue to be removed, Smith County resident Stu Conaway at the Mace Body Shop volunteered to help the McLeans with the restoration of this aging icon.
She's had her face beat in and shot in the back with a shotgun twice, and arm broke off, and you hate to see it. And the people that come in when she's here, they say, well, I wondered where she went, you know, and they all say, I wish we could catch them doing it, catch them in the act.
That, of course, would be nice. Meantime, the McLeans are waiting for spring so the plaques can be replaced, and keeping the area clean is what their mission is now.
We're always picking up beer bottles and cigarette butts, and that's just part of having a spot that looks nice.
You know, the view from the hill is beautiful, especially in the spring and summertime. You can see the Solomon Valley. From that hill, you can see 3 to 4 miles to the south.
A view that will not be complete until Miss Liberty is once again on guard, as she's been for over 60 years.
That's where she belongs. We just have to keep supporting her and take care of her.
That statue was put back in place and rededicated in April of 2012, and a security camera was also added. Now here's what it looks like now. Edith says there's been no vandalism since then.
That's good. Good. All right, now over to Concordia, where Larry met up with a man who didn't like to throw anything away.
That's for sure. His name was Dean Hobart. He ended up building his own museum to display many relics from the past. Some are worth a lot of money, some aren't, but they all have value to him.
People are interested, so if they're interested, well, that's the main thing.
Now that's Dean Hobart. He's headed to this little building that he built on his farm near Concordia. He built it because he, collects stuff.
Just never throw anything away, and our folks didn't, grandparents didn't, my wife's folks didn't, so we've just got a collection of everything that we've had, just nobody gets rid of anything.
Dean loves cars, and one of his favorite things he's collected is this 1931 Ford mail truck.
We found 18 of them in the United States. The Smithsonian has one in their collection of post office stuff. Then people bring us stuff when they see something. We got something you don't have. Would you like to have that? Oh, yeah, we'll take anything. My wife kind of scowls.
Well, apparently those scowls continue because everywhere you look, Dean has created this little private museum, well known in the Concordia area.
This thing is to sharpen a sickle.
And over there is this gas-powered saw.
Instead of having an electric motor on it and a power cord, it's got a little gas engine on it. This is a pan I was born in. It's a birthing pan.
And in a little room that looks like a kitchen, more history.
Yeah, that was my wife's first bought and dress in '49. See, the other side of the family kept stuff too.
He insists that most things we use today were invented years ago. Some are even more convenient in the old days than what we have today.
When your hands are full and you come to your refrigerator, well, you just reach into that little lever and
open the door. Pretty darn convenient.
My wife says I'm strange. I don't know.
In the front of the building that looks like an old gas station, he's got all kinds of things like this very clever cigarette holder. And, of course, medicines that were purchased for their alcohol content.
But there's testimonials about what it's done for you, but 14% alcohol. And the government or somebody wasn't smart enough to catch the people selling that, but the guy sold a lot of it.
Outside, the old dog waits patiently for Dean, who is not only a collector of history, but a teacher as well.
I just like old stuff, something different.
Now you'll be happy to know that Dean still has his museum, and since that story in 2010, he's built a bull out of old odds and ends of metal. Yeah, you can see it here.
Dean also built a 1/3 scale 1902 John Deere plow, which we don't have a picture of, but it's there at the museum if you want to see it. It's located 10 miles southwest of Concordia on Highway 9. Visitors are always welcome.
The creativity of people just astounds me.
Doesn't
he was one of those incredibly creative guys.
And you find all the creative people in Kansas.
I'm the lucky guy. I get to learn from them.
There you go. The joys of life are often celebrated and the sorrows mourned through music.
That's right. That's one reason Andrew Trecek has made it his profession. A Juilliard-trained conductor and pianist, Andrew has been sharing his love of music with generations of Kansas students.
How do you feel about starting right at the spot here?
Andrew Trecek has a passion for music.
Wait. Feel that silence. The cry of desperation here coming up, right? That's it. Good. It droops. It's tired, exhausted. That's it. And that's the last outburst here.
He's a professor of music at Wichita State, and when he teaches, his gift of knowledge becomes evident.
You know, when you first start teaching, you think that you're going to be some kind of Svengali. You think you can wave a magic wand and you can completely control a student in every compartment, and technically, musically, their phrasing, and you're going to mold them. I've gotten away from that idea. I think more in terms of seed planting and lighting a little bit of a flame there, just a gentle little glow. If they can experience that, either in a performance or in their own practice session, then they take it from there. Sharp, that's it.
This talented and deeply sensitive teacher takes students like Sheila Meggers of Hutchinson to the depth of his knowledge.
Someone said, you have been Rachmaninoff. He said, music is enough for a lifetime, but a lifetime is not enough for music. Yeah, great, very good.
When the music stopped, there was a quiet moment. I asked what music meant to this man's soul. There was a pause.
My father had a stroke last week. And all I could do was play music. That was the only thing that worked. Nothing else.
It is in the pain of a man's life we see the depth of music in his soul. Andrew Trecek plays, and centuries of composers come to life in his hands. But it is his students who are the lucky ones.
I view this music as a heritage that we've inherited. It's up to us to do something with it.
Now that story is from 1995, but it could have just as well been shot yesterday. Andrew is still sharing his knowledge and love of music at Wichita State as professor of piano and director of the keyboard studies. Andrew was an incredibly sensitive man, and I enjoyed working with him, and to see how the sensitivity went with that music was really stunning.
And how lucky are we to have him here in Kansas?
Yeah, the students are lucky.
All right, well, that's all for this week. But there is another Hatteberg's People coming up next week. Until then, I'm Susan Peters.
And I'm Larry Hatteberg. Thanks so much for watching.
The preceding program was brought to you by TZ Productions, supporting KPTS and the communities it serves in South Central Kansas. Great starts here on KPTS.
Support also comes from viewers like you. Thank you. Call KPTS to receive a DVD copy of this program for a $40 donation. You can also send a check or money order along with the program name, date, and time to the address on your screen. And you will receive a 1-year KPTS membership.